What's going on, everybody? So we are in Uptown, and welcome to a new episode of 77 Flavors of Chicago.
Yeah, buddy.
Today we are talking about a topic that is really, in my opinion, really cool.
Not yours. It's mine too.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, this is fire.
So we're going to talk about Balvin and Cats and the theaters that they put around the city.
Right.
We met with a person that is kind of an expert on the topic. She gives tours around the city at all the theaters, and so should we hear from her first, or should we talk about where we are first?
We can tell them we're in Uptown. That's where most of the theaters are. Shoot, y'all see the Riviera right behind us?
Yeah.
Look at this little circle right there.
Yeah.
You see that's the Riviera right there?
So not a lot of their theaters are still standing. Some of them are, but a lot of them were demolished or, permanently closed. The Riviera is one of the ones that is still standing. There's a second one in Uptown, which is the Uptown Theater. It's permanently closed, but we're going to visit it anyway. But let's
go ahead and talk to our guest today so they can tell us more about Balvin and Cats. 77 Flavors of Chicago.
So you've been a docent for the Architecture Center for 24 years.
Well, 25 this year. Yep.
That's wild. And you specialize in theaters?
Not real. I mean, I do at this point like 11 different walking tours.
Wow.
11 different walking tours.
Yeah, and I don't do the boat. Everyone always says, "Do you do the boat?"
Fit.
I'm pretty fit. Yes, at certain times of the year.
The winter months.
Right.
Same.
But no, I do a wide variety. You want to hear? I mean, I could tell. So there's certain tours that leave from our center, which is at Michigan and Wacker. Little plug. Right. So from the center, I do historic treasures of the Golden Age, I think is the official name now, which is basically Michigan Avenue and State Street. And then one of our Art Deco tours, Riverfront Deco, and the L, which is really fun.
We wanted to take that one, but they said it's not happening right now. Or not, maybe that's the one. We wanted to take the Pedway, and that wasn't happening.
Oh yeah, Pedway's okay. L is fun. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
I do Graceland Cemetery, Uptown, and then we have about 12 or 15 individual building tours, which is like 1 hour just in one building because there's like that much.
That's crazy.
So I do Union Station, Board of Trade, and Palmer House.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you might be a repeat guest there.
Yeah.
So I could be.
Yeah, we definitely, it's on camera now. So.
Yes, right.
So
yes.
So we wanted to really talk about, and maybe I'm mispronouncing this. How do you pronounce the architecture for, or is it? It's not an architecture.
They're the developers.
The developers.
Well, Balvin and Cats.
Balvin and Cats.
Yes.
I don't know why I wanted to. My logic is saying Balaban, but it's not. It's
Balaban. But as a company, they were called B&K.
Right, B&K.
Okay.
Right. So they built quite a few theaters around the city.
Yes.
Right. Some are still there. Some have been demolished.
Right.
And you've done tours in some of those theaters.
Yes.
So let's maybe start talking about who they are. And
Yep.
Start there.
So Balvin and Cats were the developers, and they had their architects who worked with them was two brothers, Rapp and Rapp. So we'll talk about Balvin and Cats if you want to know more about the architects themselves. That we can talk about that too. So Balvin and Cats, there were 7 Balvin brothers.
Oh wow!
And the family grew up in the Maxwell Street neighborhood.
Okay.
On the near west side. So I think it was their parents had been like Russian Jewish immigrants because that's what that neighborhood was.
Yeah.
So there were 7 brothers, and then a friend of theirs, Barney, Sam Katz, was like the Cats of Balvin and Cats, and he wound up marrying their sister.
Oh wow!
So kind of keeping that in the family.
Yeah,
wow.
All in the family.
Right. And their first theater was the Central Park Theater in 1917, and that's also kind of near West Side, which is now a black church. And they have a lot. Look that up.
They have a great
uh, they're looking, for grants and so on to help with the rehab and all
Right,
that.
right.
And they have a lot of folks. It's been on Open House Chicago, and they
Mhm.
talk about it, and the history and
Yeah.
all that, which is really cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
So that was their first theater, and they're really viewed as one of the sort of inventors of the movie palace.
Mm.
And different, like New York has their person that they
Right.
say we
Right.
invented it, kind of like with the skyscraper,
Yeah.
but basically. And then eventually they had, I'm looking at my notes slightly, 36 theaters in Chicago,
That's crazy.
and a few hundred more in the couple of hundred in the surrounding suburbs and the rest of the Midwest.
So they the only ones doing theater.
Well, that's
There were
they're
some
like
others,
they're
but
movie theaters. They're not necessarily like play.
correct, they were
Okay.
movie
Yeah.
from the
Okay.
beginning.
Yeah.
And some of them they had built by Rap and Rap, designed. Others they wound up acquiring a few years later from others. But people knew B&K, like it would even be
Right.
on the marquee a
Right.
little bit. And I could talk about, you tell me kind of what order you want to go in.
I'm
You let it
Again,
flow,
because
yeah.
we,
You're the expert.
Yeah.
well, you'll edit, right?
Yeah.
So,
No.
uh-oh. Well, no, I'm trying to think how to organize it. Because part of their thing that made them so successful, they had this 5-point strategy that they
Okay.
used. All right. So the first thing was the location. And so their theaters were always on public transit lines, which at the time would have been streetcars.
Right.
But not just, gee, there's a stop here, but it's a pretty major transfer point.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was one
lot of
thing.
traffic.
A lot
You
of
gotta-
people
yeah,
could get
yeah.
there easily.
Yeah.
And as you may know, like most neighborhoods had their movie theater
Right.
Right. Yeah.
that people grew up with and know and so on. So the first point is the location. The second is the very elaborate and ostentatious look of the
Right.
theater.
Right.
And one of their slogans was, "The show starts on the sidewalk."
Oh.
So even before you're walking in and seeing the gorgeous lobby, like the
Right.
outside has a lot of terracotta and the signage, and then even there's 2 kinds of marquees on a movie palace,
Okay. I never.
and the lighting and so on. Yeah, so it's all about this idea of like you're being transported elsewhere.
Got you. So that's why, like, you see, like, the light bulbs and all that kind
Yes,
of stuff
Right.
out there.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
To attract attention. And the the marquee is over the entrance,
Right,
and
yep.
on the 3 sides it would have what's playing
Right.
now, and then what's called either the vertical or the blade sign would be the letters vertically spelled out perpendicular to the building,
Yeah.
so that if you're coming on the street,
You can see.
you would see it kind of from a block
Oh,
or 2
wow.
away.
That's so much thought. Like,
I know.
So much thought. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
and then with the lighting,
Yeah.
which you mentioned, there's what they call, there's chasers and tracers.
Okay.
So chasers is when you see the sign and it looks like the bulbs are going around,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
which they're not really going around. It's they're turning
Lighting.
on and off at certain intervals
Yeah.
to
Right.
make it look like they're chasing each other.
Okay.
Chasers, and then tracers would be like neon tubes that spell out the letters of the name.
Okay.
Like now the Niederlander, or what was the Oriental,
Yep.
each letter is
Yeah.
traced
Right.
out.
Now
So
I cannot see that.
Yeah.
Now. Like,
Can't
I,
Right, you
like,
can't not see.
I'll always be looking at that now. I'm like, I know what that is. That's
Yeah.
a tracer.
Right.
That's
Right.
Okay.
right,
Oh,
right.
that's so
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the whole like fantasy, doesn't matter what movie we're showing because
Yeah.
it's gorgeous anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Um,
Wow, that's-
and then let's see here. Let me.
Did that like decorative style outside the theater exist before they started doing it, or was that
Not
something?
really,
Okay.
not really. And I can talk a little bit about like why is this different than what happened before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the very first places where they showed moving pictures, not yet called,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Movies.
you had like Nickelodeon, right? Where it was one person looking in to a machine, and
Yeah.
it would be like a 30-second little film of a horse galloping by or a train, and they were like amazed, And then
That's so
and then they started once they figured out like a bigger screen,
Mhm.
and maybe the screen is like the size of that window,
Yeah.
not
Okay,
huge.
Yeah.
They would set up chairs somewhere and like show these. And a popular, you'll probably like this, a popular place to do that was in funeral homes.
Oh,
Oh,
no!
wow.
What?
Because they lent themselves to, it's a big room, we
Yeah.
have a lot
Right.
of chairs,
Right.
we can put the screen at the front,
Yeah. Quiet.
right,
Right.
yeah. And
Silent.
so that was kind of the early, a bunch of people watching a movie together. And then over, let's say 10 years through the early teens, they became kind of seedy. And Balaban and Katz were the ones who really raised the bar for this is now an okay thing to do.
Right.
Because before it was kind of a little creepy. I'm sitting next to
A person
strangers
I
in
don't
the
know.
dark,
Yeah.
like, this is weird. So for them, it was we're making it beautiful, it's safe.
Mm.
So it's that whole,
So they really had a
the
vision.
look.
Like they
Oh,
really
yeah.
took
Yeah.
that
Totally.
and like ran with it.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
I've never even
What
heard
did they
of
do
that.
Yeah.
before they
Right.
started the theaters?
They were young when they started them,
Oh,
but
yeah.
one of the brothers had worked in a cold storage facility and kind of knew about early technology for air conditioning. And that was one of their 5 points in their strategy,
Oh, wow.
was the theaters were air conditioned,
Oh,
'Cause that
wow.
which
wasn't a
was
thing.
huge.
Yeah.
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 And they had, even as part of their logo for many years, like a penguin and an icicle
Wow.
show. And doctors at the time would tell pregnant women and people with breathing issues,
Go
like,
sit
go
in.
to the
Go see a
movies.
movie.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And they were like the only ones who were open year round because it was too hot to
Wow.
sit there if it
Wow.
wasn't.
So they changed the game.
So
really.
totally, yeah,
They created.
yes,
They were the
they
game.
did. They
Yeah.
did. They
Wow.
were. So another one is the impeccable service.
Mm.
So another one of their sort of slogans, or more internal than for the public, but like every patron should be treated like a king or queen.
Mm.
And these movie palaces were one of the only places in the city or society where you would have people from different socioeconomic
All
groups
together.
all in the same building, but nobody was working for somebody else.
Right.
And so they had all of the ushers were in military uniforms,
Wow.
except at the Oriental where they wore like turbans and puffy pants.
Really?
But many of
It
them.
was called the Oriental when it opened?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that was a
wow.
very popular name for
Oh, yeah.
theaters because Oriental meant anything exotic,
Right.
basically,
And-
and it
and-
wasn't pejorative.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
That had to change because
Right. No, I understand why it had
Today's
changed,
time.
but I was just curious
Right,
how long
right.
it held that name for.
Right.
Oh,
If
it
was
held
like-
it until 4 years ago.
you're right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And there's an Oriental theater in many different
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the service was like amazing.
Mhm.
And the men all had to be, like they're all men, of course,
Right.
between 5'10" and 6'1", and they had, and here's you won't see this on the podcast audio, but this is like the different uniforms of the
Oh,
different
wow.
ushers,
Interesting.
depending on where they were in the theater,
Yeah.
kind of
Wow.
thing.
So suits or
Oh yeah, like almost military uniform,
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a British, butler
Right,
or
right.
something.
And now, what time frame are we talking?
Yeah.
Like we're talking early 20th century.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
So-
1917.
The reason why I
Yeah,
ask that is
yeah.
because you think about early 20th century. We got the Black Metropolis is starting to form,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
yes,
And then the Black and Tan,
Yes,
clubs
I know that.
are
Yes,
happening at the same time.
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
that was a big mixture happening
Right.
at the same time. 'Cause
yes,
that was,
yes,
and then you got this kind of mixture with just different classes of people.
yes,
Right.
yes.
So that's an
Yes.
interesting time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there was also the sort of upper classes. They would get, Balvin and Katz would get letters from rich people saying, can we please reserve seats and we'll pay more, it's fine. And they refused,
Wow.
they would not allow it.
Oh,
They
good.
never had reserved seats. It was, you
First come,
come
first
in,
served,
you're
yeah.
seated. So that's kind of
Interesting.
cool
That is
also.
really cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that was,
I would assume
Yeah.
a lot of people that started things like this in the city that were immigrants understood that struggle
mhm.
of being
Yes, yes,
outcast,
yes,
like
yes.
outside
Yeah.
of society.
Right, out
So
totally.
yeah,
yes.
So it makes
yes.
sense that they would not be okay
And
with that.
especially over there, I mean, that's Little Italy. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Now,
now,
yeah.
Yeah.
now. I mean, like, and
Right.
you got Jane Addams who was doing her thing. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah,
you have a
yeah.
lot of like that
Right.
immigration, like, kind of like power happening right there all at once.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right,
yes.
yeah.
And each of their theaters all around the city were in the different ethnic neighborhood. I mean, downtown they had the Chicago Theater, the Oriental, now Nederlander, the Cadillac Palace, that was theirs, plus two
Oh,
others
really?
on State
Oh.
The
Street.
Cadillac?
Yeah, they bought it. They didn't have it built, but they
Oh, yeah.
acquired
I was
it
gonna
like
say,
in the 30s.
Okay.
is there something about one, like, going into these theaters now? Can
Mhm.
you tell if it was something they built or something they acquired,
Oh,
just from what, like, the design style or something
not
like
really, not really. But asking about design style, if I may read two
Yeah.
quotes
Yeah,
that I
please
think
do.
are very fun.
Yeah.
So at the time, we had the public like loved this
Yeah.
because especially the working people, like
Yeah.
they're toiling, 6 days a week,
Right.
whatever,
Take a load off.
and everybody went to the movies. Like
Mhm.
in the 30s, it peaked. Like the average adult would go to the movies like 35 times a year. I mean, it was like
Wow.
all the time.
Wow.
And granted, there was a lot less competing for your
Yeah,
leisure
right.
time and dollars, but everybody went, and so people liked it. It was
Yeah.
fun, it was interesting, it was different. So here's a quote from Thomas Talmadge, who was an architecture critic, who actually coined the term the first Chicago school when you talk about skyscrapers and architecture. But he said, quote, "No more pitiful degradation of an art has ever been presented than the prostitution of architecture that goes on daily in the construction of these huge buildings, taste and style abased to the lowest degree."
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
That's
Right,
harsh.
because it wasn't academic, like
Yeah.
Rapp and Rapp, who were the house architects, they were fine doing what B&K wanted.
Yeah.
So, this is going to look like Versailles,
Right.
the Oriental, which combines like things from India and the Middle East and China. Like,
Yeah.
but
Right.
who knew? Like,
Right.
if you're
Right.
Joe factory worker sitting there,
Yeah.
it just
You're just
all
looking,
looked really
opulence, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Gold.
So the
Yeah.
official architecture intelligentsia,
Right.
they didn't like this.
Yeah.
All right.
Of course, the gatekeepers
Yeah.
don't.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right.
Right.
So of course they
But then
won't.
here's from a book called American Picture Palaces, Architecture of Fantasy by David Naylor. No buildings as a group have been so audaciously romantic, blatantly derivative, wonderfully original, as loudly hyped by owners, totally reviled by architecture critics, and well attended by the local population.
So basically, everybody was like, "No, the architects just mad. They didn't
Right.
think of it." Yeah.
Or that it's
Yeah.
just
It's
too
too
much.
different.
Yeah.
It's just too different.
It's too much. It didn't follow the rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That
I
is
mean, that's yeah.
crazy.
That's absolutely crazy. When you think about all this, like right now in today's times, like it
Yes.
just came out a couple weeks ago. By the time you listen to this, AMC is about to start charging for seats.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right,
Like,
I saw that.
and you know me, I was like, this has never been done, and we were close to it almost being done.
movies.
Yeah, for
Right,
movies. You know what I mean?
right.
Like so, like think about how times
Yeah,
have just
yeah.
changed with the
Right.
movies. It went from like something that was amazing, like
yeah.
brand new, and now people
Right.
don't even go to the theater.
Right.
I know.
Well, you
I,
go-
that's,
yeah.
I mean, you don't go to a movie theater.
Movie.
You know, movie
I know.
theater.
I do, but yeah.
Yeah.
We
We
just
do.
went.
Yeah, we do. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's an art. I mean,
Right.
it's,
Oh,
it is.
totally.
It's an
Yeah.
entirely
Totally.
different experience than
Yeah.
watching a movie in
Oh
your
yeah.
house.
If I
It's
was
not
a
the same.
director,
Yeah.
like I'd want to know,
Yeah.
am I making this product for people who are going to be sitting
Mhm.
in a theater watching it on a giant screen,
Yeah.
or on their couch watching it in 3 pieces over the course
Right.
of a week, and whatever?
Right.
Because it would be very different
Very.
visually. The
Audio, would be
audio,
different.
all of
Yeah,
it.
everything would
Yeah,
be different.
could you imagine
Yeah.
having those folks that went to the first movie theaters now today?
Right.
Like, could you imagine like what they thought?
Yeah,
You said
yeah.
you watched the Nickelodeon for 30 seconds
Yeah.
or 30 minutes, whatever.
Right. They would get dressed up. I
Yeah.
mean, people would be, with ladies in gloves, the
Yeah.
whole,
That was the thing.
you know.
Kind of like a theater experience now.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, totally.
Wow.
And speaking of theater or live entertainment, shall
Yeah.
we say,
Yeah.
so the fifth element of their strategy, so it was the location, size and opulence of the building, um, the air conditioning, the service,
Mhm.
and then they had live stage shows and organists.
Wow.
So they were not part of the studio system.
Okay.
So
Audio was
again, as some people know, so for the first several decades of Hollywood, you had the studios owning movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So Paramount
Yeah.
films were premiered in Paramount theaters, United Artists,
Right.
etc. And Balaban and Katz were not part of that. So they did not get like the best movies immediately.
Right.
So they came up with this idea of having the live entertainment in between the movies. And so a lot of times people didn't even care necessarily what the movie was because they're going to the really cool building
Right.
and they're seeing a show in a way. So they would they'd be open from like 11 in the morning till 11 at night,
Holy cow.
and people would come and see like the show and then the movie, and those
Wow.
folks would leave and the new people would come, like
Wow,
all
it was
day
a
kind
cycle
of
all
thing.
day. Wow.
So here there's a list of, I'm looking here at famous people, and again, if you're of a certain age, you will know these people. If you're not, you
Put a
won't,
picture up.
but you'll know more, and then how those changed, who the acts were. So one at the Oriental in 1934, the Gum Sisters were a singing act, and the youngest was Frances Gum, who we now know as Judy Garland.
What?
So she sang with her, they had an act and they performed at the Oriental.
Wow.
Judy Garland?
1934.
Wow.
Um,
Well, that kind of makes sense when you think about Wizard of Oz. You know, like
Right.
he was
she would have been a young teen
yeah,
at that point.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So there's like anybody who's anybody. I'm looking at some pictures here. George Burns and Gracie Allen, the Three Stooges,
Wow.
Danny Kaye and Duke Ellington are
Oh,
in
yeah.
the picture
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Cab Calloway, Al Jolson. I mean, like, and sometimes the stars of the film would be there.
Oh, could
Wow.
you imagine,
Can you imagine?
going to a movie and then the
Right.
stars weren't?
How much did it cost to
Right.
go to see a movie like
not
in
a lot.
1920?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, let me think. When the Uptown opened in 1925, and Saturday night was 75 cents.
Wow.
Come on, now it's like $75 just to get in.
Yeah, right.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, people were making what, like $40 a month?
Right. Yes, I guess
Right.
75 cents. Yeah, that's a
Right.
okay.
Right.
We
And
better
that
be
was
married.
Saturday night. They did do sort of, I'll say, creative or clever price, because Saturday night was more expensive than, the Wednesday matinee
Right.
or whatever. So they did that. So you had like the big stars, and they also did have organs in the
Okay.
theaters. And the Chicago theater had 2 organs, and there was a husband and wife team that
Oh,
played the
wow.
organs. So
Oh,
they were
wow.
like famous,
That's how they battled.
that.
They took it. They took it out to the streets, let the people decide.
Right,
Taking it
right.
home.
Yep. And then you had the audience demographics changing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So in the 70s, some of the acts that were at the Oriental downtown, Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Little Richard. And so that kind of led to, like, we can talk about, it's a little depressing, but then the decline of,
Right.
the movie
Yeah,
palaces,
of course,
et cetera.
because that's at the end of the Great Migration. I'm sure people had to deal with blacks coming up here in the first place, and now they're in the
Right.
theaters. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah.
And also kind of the decline of the loop, as
Right.
well as the downtowns of like all major cities
Right,
in the
right.
country.
Yeah.
But it was really after World War II, the exodus to the suburbs.
Right, people
So
wanted to
people
move to the
didn't have to
suburbs.
come downtown. But I mean, suburbs have movie
Right.
theaters, but, and then also TV
Right.
in the 50s.
Yeah.
Right.
So it didn't kill it. I mean, of course, it's sort of like
just
now,
changed, shifted.
right? It's not like movies went away.
Right. The
The
priorities change.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, and this lines up with
The
everything we're
demand
saying.
changed.
Chicago peaked at in the 60s, 3.6 million people.
Yes,
You know what I
right,
mean? And
right,
then, like, we talked about that just a few episodes ago
Mhm.
about how
Yeah.
everybody started. They almost took away the
Yes.
loop. They were
Right.
talking about
Right,
taking away the
right,
loop,
right.
the L line. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
so,
yes.
like we're going through a lot as a city
Yeah.
right around
Oh,
that
yeah.
time.
Yep.
Meanwhile, you still got like the race relations are happening on the south and west
Right.
side. You know, Martin
Mhm,
Luther King is
mhm.
up here. You know, he just died.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going
yeah,
on in the
yeah,
city, and then like the way movie theater now because that movie theaters were a way to bring people together,
yes,
and
yes,
how has that kind of changed? Maybe I don't know. I'm asking
yeah,
because like this is
okay,
interesting to me now because
Mhm.
like
yeah,
now that we know
yes,
these timelines and doing the history,
yeah, yeah.
it's like crazy to think about this stuff. Like how did how is it changing like from the 70s to like now? Do we still
Yeah.
have that sense of like togetherness? I don't feel like it. Like I don't
I
feel like
feel
it's
like we might have like up until maybe 10 years ago,
Mm.
yeah
when now everybody, because entertainment, it was a mass thing
right
and everybody saw the
Yeah.
same stuff
Right.
essentially.
Right.
And now it's every
There's so
person,
much.
even within a house, you could have,
Right.
4 people on 4 different iPads
Yeah.
watching their own thing.
Right.
So it's
people don't even
different.
eat at the dinner table together.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
so it's
Yeah.
all
Right.
different. Like
Yeah.
that's just
And
crazy.
things
Yeah.
used to come on at a certain time. You would
Right.
have
Yes,
to
yes,
watch it
totally.
on time.
You know?
Now you can
Uh-huh.
just stream
Oh,
it
yeah.
whenever you feel like it.
Right,
You know,
right.
so it's entirely different.
Right, because
Yeah.
you wouldn't say, "Oh, did you see whatever last night?"
Right.
Yeah.
and talk
Right.
about it.
I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
in Chicago, when it comes to entertainment like this, I mean, we're like the capital. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
we at least we deem ourselves the capital.
Mhm.
But when you think
Yeah.
about, SNL, and you think about like
Right.
all the
Right.
people who make it in Showtime, they come
Yeah.
from Chicago
Right.
Yeah,
theater.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
it's like
yes.
I took,
Yeah.
I did improv. You know what I mean? I'm a little stage.
Yep,
That's
yep.
theater in a sense.
Yes, yeah,
And it's just crazy to think that like how big of a role this is
yeah.
in Chicago history. You
Yeah.
know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
it is.
How much did this affect other cities? So
right. That's a good question.
did movie theaters start to pop
Yeah,
up
were we
around
rolling
other
out of
cities?
Yeah, I mean, there were theaters, like the first, movie theater was in Pittsburgh, I
Mhm.
think, in like 1909, something like that. And then different cities had, like New York and LA, and
Right.
they had their big old movie
Mhm.
palaces, and like Rap and Rap, the architects. There were a few others that were, did work in other
Yeah.
cities. And Balaban and Katz did have, I want to say, at least 2, maybe 3 theaters in New York as well, in Manhattan.
Yeah.
But they were all, they looked to each other. There were trade magazines.
Yeah.
Like when I had
Yeah.
done the research on that paper for the Chicago Theater, I was at the Harold Washington Library,
Mhm.
and they had, like all the back issues of,
Wow.
and I don't remember the name of it, but there were a few different trade journals for theater owners, or, theater
Yeah.
presenters.
Wow.
There
Yeah.
was different lingo a little bit.
Wow.
I wonder
So,
if the
yeah.
Vivian Harsh,
Collection has
collection in Woodlawn has.
Mm.
I bet you because they have a lot of that stuff in their collection where you
They might.
can't leave the theater,
Right,
Yes,
the
right.
library.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be
Yeah,
something fun
yeah.
to look up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Yep,
It's.
yep.
I was thinking about the Nickelodeon. Like I've been
Yes.
thinking about the Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Remember the little viewfinder toys?
Yes,
that you
yes,
That's
totally.
basically a Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
Kinda. Like,
Except
right.
it's moving.
But it's
Yeah,
but
oh,
it's a
that's right.
still photo, right?
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
you push the little lever and it
So
goes
these
around.
were still moving though.
These were moving, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I'm sitting up there. I had a
It's called
Nickelodeon.
a
Right.
Nickelodeon because it costs a nickel to
Yeah,
watch. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
Right, you'd put it in a
And how long it last? Was it 30 minutes?
30
30
seconds.
Oh
seconds?
God, no.
30 seconds?
Short,
Yeah.
real short, yeah.
30 seconds.
Something like
for a
that.
nickel.
And there might be like 5 of them,
Right.
in
Okay.
a row that you'd
Yeah.
watch, something like that.
Wow. You got 4
So
minutes.
it's like
Yeah.
cartoons. It's like
Yes,
Looney
yeah,
Tunes. It's like
right.
Looney Tunes.
Like
Like,
Nickelodeon.
yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah,
TikTok.
right,
Yeah, right. That was the TikTok. There it is.
Oh, that's
That
so
we
funny.
TikTok started here.
Nothing's
TikTok
new.
was-
Nothing's new. But it's
Right.
fun when you see, like, if you've seen like old silent movies,
Mhm.
and because they're not talking, like their facial expressions are
Right.
so exaggerated, and
Yeah.
even the makeup they wore, like if you see it
Yeah.
not in the film, but what they looked like in real life,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
scary. But it's that getting people's attention.
Right.
And people were just amazed sitting in a theater,
Watching it.
seeing and then when the talkies were 1927,
Yeah.
so there was, call it 15-ish years of just silent
So-
films. I mean, there was music
Charlie
playing.
Chaplin was probably big around then.
Yes.
Right around that
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Um,
Right.
and I bet Asanye
Yeah.
Studios was really just going crazy at that point.
Yeah, S&A Studios,
S&A, yeah.
which was in Uptown. Yeah, S&A, it's S like letter F. It's
Yeah.
spelled ESSANAY, but it was two guys, George Spoor and Gilbert Anderson were S and A.
That's smart.
And yeah, and yeah, they were on the north side of Chicago. So before Hollywood existed,
Yeah, that was
the two centers for filmmaking, believe it or not, were Chicago and New Jersey.
Wow.
New Jersey.
Because Edison
Ah,
was in
that's
New
right,
Jersey.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here's a little fun tidbit. I grew up in Edison, New Jersey,
Yeah.
about 4 blocks from where his lab was. I mean, the
Wow.
building wasn't there anymore. There's a monument and so
Yeah.
on. So we all, learn a lot about Thomas Edison when you grow up in Edison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to. You're
But,
right past
he
it.
had one of the first, like, movie studios, essentially.
Wow.
Really?
So, of the how many surviving theaters are there of theirs?
I'm going to say a handful. I mean,
Yeah,
I know the Chicago Theater, the Oriental, Nederlander, and Riviera. Although they didn't build it, they weren't the original,
Oh,
but
really?
they got it a few years
What's
after
your
it opened.
favorite of theirs?
I don't know that. I mean, the Chicago Theater, the facade is just so
Yeah.
iconic,
Iconic.
and if you're standing across the street from it, and you like now, this is another thing I think you won't unsee is it actually references the Arc de Triomphe in Paris.
Oh,
If you, yeah,
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
First of all, that's a big word. I definitely would have
Yes.
never known
Yeah.
that.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
but
here's a picture. I'll just show you, and you can.
Wow.
So here's the facade. Here's the Arc de Triomphe.
What? Yo!
Oh, that's so
Y'all gotta
cool.
see this. Hold on.
Oh, you're.
Look at that. Look at that. Are you? I would have never even known that. Now you can't.
Right,
unsee
and
it.
then inside, like the staircase references Versailles. That's what
Wow.
B&K wanted, and this was always their flagship because it's
Yeah.
right downtown.
Yeah.
And this opened in 1921,
So
1921, October 26th.
that's crazy because the L is booming right
Right.
now. That's where like
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Here's other little factoids. This was a 50-piece orchestra performed in the pit.
That's crazy.
After a white glove inspection, a staff of 125 ushers welcomed the guests.
Wow.
Wow.
And you were asking before about the pricing. It was 25 cents until 1 o'clock, 35 cents in the afternoon, 50 cents after 6 o'clock.
Wow.
That's when it opened
Yeah,
in 21.
That's the deal.
That's
Less than
Yeah.
$1 to stay all day.
Right.
Stay all day. Just
Yeah,
take $1
yeah, you
there.
could actually, you could.
probably
And
the drink. Did they serve food and drinks?
no, at the beginning of movie palaces, they did not serve food or drinks because they didn't want to ruin the furniture and what have you.
It was probably
But
carpet.
on either side, there might be a candy shop,
Oh, okay,
popcorn,
It's smart.
but other little businesses
yeah.
Placement.
next to it. So yeah, I'm not sure when they started bringing in concessions literally inside, but not at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, there's still not a lot of concessions on the inside of some of these
Right,
places.
right.
Like you go
Right.
to the Chicago theater, I mean, it's not
Right.
a lot in there.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And also it's not movies anymore.
Yeah. Right.
So that
It's
brings you
actual
to
theater.
what
You're gonna
happened
be
to all
munching
these
popcorn
places.
while you're watching.
Right.
I-
Yeah.
Plays.
People need to understand, like, and just take the Chicago theater for
Yeah.
an example. Imagine a movie in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I saw, so in 2017, they showed Young Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
And then Mel Brooks was interviewed. He was there.
Wow.
And I took my dad to see it. It was really fun.
Yeah.
So I did
A
see
movie in
that
movie.
movie in there.
It's
Wow.
huge in
Yeah,
there. Like,
yes, it is. And that's why you could tell if it was a movie palace because it's like wider. If
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
seen
Right.
something in the CIBC theater,
Yep.
Mhm.
the old Schubert,
Yep.
like where Hamilton was,
Uh-huh.
that looks more like a New York Broadway theater, and that was not a movie theater
Right.
because it's very
Yeah.
vertical
Yeah.
Right.
and narrow because everyone's looking
Oh,
down
right.
at the
Right,
stage.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas in a movie palace, everybody had to see the whole screen.
right.
Yeah.
So in the Chicago, the Oriental, the Cadillac Palace, those are all kind of similar, really good sight lines of the whole big screen, as opposed
that
to
makes sense.
let's all look at the little stage.
I honestly
Yeah.
can't look at theaters the same anymore. Like it's just, I mean, like that's
Right.
so cool. That's fascinating,
Yeah.
man. Like that Paris
Yeah.
thing, that architecture.
Yes, you like that?
It is identical.
Yeah.
It's like it's identical. Just I was a little bit wider, of course. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's just
It's similar. Yep.
picturesque.
Yep.
Like wow,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
has been fantastic. That was dope.
Yeah.
Like that was dope.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's just got so much history to it.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew that Nickelodeon started from here?
I mean, in a way,
In a way, you know,
name.
Chicago had to have some kind of
little dabble.
yeah, just a little dabble in history
Yeah.
right there. But thank you for putting us on.
Mm-hmm.
But we are about to go eat
Yes.
because we're hungry.
Yeah.
Let's get out the way right here.
Yeah, let's walk. Let's walk down.
People trying to. Let's go and eat some new food.
All right, so we walked over to the restaurant that we are eating in Uptown today.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done like Jordanian food on the.
We did Sultan's Market.
Oh, we did do Sultan
Sultan's
Market.
Market.
You're right. Okay,
Which
well,
was fire.
we haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
So this is a new-ish. It's
Mhm.
been around for a few months. A restaurant here in Uptown on Broadway called Ragadan, and they make falafel and burgers. That's like what they what their
This
tagline
burger
is.
looking good right now.
I know. So you want to show? Do you want to show off your burger?
Hey, of course I do. Of course I want to show off the burger. Y'all can look at the picture if you want to, but look at that bad boy. Ooh wee, yeah.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at that. Here we go. Here you go.
So Dario got the double dam with cheese and bacon. Is it amazing? Wait, I want to try it. He not on purpose. He did not want to hand that burger over. Wow.
Y'all.
Wow.
Oh man. That's
Also, I believe that's beef bacon.
oh wow. This burger is fire. Period.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good burger.
That's a really good
That's
burger.
a very good burger.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good.
I mean, if you haven't had Jordanian burger,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's on it that would make it Jordanian, but it's made by a Jordanian.
It's made by a Jordanian.
Yeah.
Shoot, it's a Jordanian burger to me. No.
I got the stuffed falafel, which they're stuffed with caramelized onions and suma, which is a spice that makes things like anywhere you would use lemon, you can use suma in its place. It's like a tangy spice.
Mhm.
And so this is a falafel that's stuffed with caramelized onions and suma. And then the rest is like the toppings of falafel sandwich, like tomato, this like parsley thing,
That look good.
hummus. It's really good. Do
That
you
look
want to
good.
try it?
Did you take a bite?
I did.
Oh, let me.
But I'm gonna take another one. Don't you
Go
worry.
ahead.
I got the
Go
thing
ahead,
in half.
smack this. Yeah, look at that. Mm-hmm.
Mm. That's really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. This is a smaller
And-
joint too,
Mhm.
and it's just they
And
doing
the
big
pickles
things.
that come on it are these pickles that are like skinny and thin,
Mm.
thin and long.
Yeah. Hold
They're
on, this
so good.
burger.
They also make a bunch of sauces.
Mm.
So this is a za'atar mayo, right? Which is very za'atar forward. I love it. If you don't know what za'atar is, it's basically dried thyme with sumac and sesame seeds
Mm-hmm.
and olive oil. Next is this tahini ranch.
Yeah, let me try. Hold on. We got fries too. So
We did get fries.
the fries are fire. They
Yeah.
look at this. This is how they look. Nice and golden and rich.
Mhm. They're like the crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. They're literally perfect. That's the tahini ranch.
Ooh.
It's good.
Oh,
And
that's
then-
surprising.
Yeah, but it's red tahini. So you toast the sesame seeds to a point where they turn like brownish, and it makes red tahini. That's how you make red tahini.
Oh.
You can make it at home.
That's
Next,
good.
we tried that. We got this red like Shut the hot sauce.
Shut up.
There it is.
Let me see. So far, the red tahini sauces.
It has roasted red peppers in it too. And then we
Okay.
got a parsley sauce.
That's definitely the spicy one. Y'all know how I feel about the parsley.
It's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
Try it.
Right.
But then we also got a chicken sandwich, a fried chicken sandwich. It looks like every fried chicken sandwich I've ever had in the Middle East. It has the shredded lettuce.
If it's like that in the Middle East,
Listen, we get down with chicken, okay?
because the one I had over the McDonald's had a chicken Big Mac.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That
Wasn't it?
wasn't like regular bread. It was crispy. Mm.
Yeah, so this is just pickles.
And that looked like it.
Yeah, this is pickles, the red tahini ranch, and lettuce. Mm. Mhm.
Go crazy?
Mhm.
Hold on. Oh, look at that.
Mhm.
Nice and white and juicy in here. Look at that.
Is that what you're?
Slow down. Don't. Mm.
It's good, right?
Mm. This the one.
Yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
it amazing?
This the one.
I want another bite of the burger.
Go ahead.
You said I guess.
While you doing? Come on, grab it.
I'm gonna bring it closer. So I can grab it.
While you doing that,
Yeah.
I'm an orange fan. I love orange pop. Orange pop is probably the greatest pop of all time.
Mm.
This Mirinda from Jordan. Where's that title at? There it is. There's the American version. No, that's the Jordanian Arabic. There it is. This right here might be the best orange drink I've had.
Really?
Orange high C was fire. This one,
But orange high C is not carbonated, is it?
no.
Mm.
Y'all.
Amazing.
Oh my god. This fruit right here, fire.
Mhm.
They don't miss. We pretty much got the whole menu too. So
I mean,
it's different variations of it. You know,
mhm.
well, we got most of the video, most of the
They have a lot of different options. Not a lot, but a decent amount. They're also known for their milkshakes. So I got this blueberry halawa milkshake. With pistachios on top.
going crazy
Crazy.
on a nice summer day,
Ooh.
which this is not. We still technically spring, but summertime shine start when we say it do. This is
Yeah, buddy.
hidden
Yeah.
for a nice. Oh my god. I don't know.
And we're so close to the beach.
Right.
Ooh, perfect to take to
We're
the
right here by the beach. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uptown is dope. Uptown is dope.
Yeah.
Those Balvin and Cats theaters are all over, but you go back to the Broadway episode, you know why we came out to Broadway, or the Uptown episode, you know why we came here. But
It's like it used to be like the center of
Mhm.
theater. And mind you, Melbourne and Cats, obviously, like we mentioned, aren't like play theaters, they're movie theaters, but
Yeah. This is dope.
Yeah.
Like this food here, that sauce is dope. Did you show them? Look at this, y'all. This sauce right here is doing things.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. Let me see if I can put the burger in there. What happened? I do it like it's a magic trick.
Mm. Yeah.
The cheese. The cheese is like that Merck's cheese, almost.
Like a
Cheddar.
spreadable. Yeah.
Like it's cheddar. Maybe that's what's going on here. For some reason, this burger is tops right now.
Yeah. I'm telling you, people love it. Wow. So good. All right, well,
Well, that's it.
we're gonna finish this meal.
Shit. Ain't no more burger.
We're not done in Uptown though.
We're not done with Uptown. We're done with this part of it. But we're about to head a little further up north in Uptown.
If you're watching this on the day it comes out, wait 1 week.
1 week. And we got some more fun stuff to talk to you about. We will catch you
next
In
week.
like 20 minutes.
Right, right. Just the bus right now.